Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Jess and I'm a stay-at-home mom of two. We're a homeschool family and on this channel we share all things food and family fun. We share grocery hauls and what's for dinners and all kinds of recipes and day in the lives and things like that. Today is the first day of fall and that means soup weather, and I tried a super delicious recipe that you've got to try because it was so good. Before we get into it, I wanted to mention that this video is part of a collaboration hosted by my friend Katt over at Southern Farm and Kitchen. She's hosting a fall soup collab, so I'm gonna have a playlist down in the description box where you can click and find all kinds of other yummy soup recipes that are perfect for the fall and winter months. I'll also have a link to Katt's channel down below because she is our host. So when you're done with this video, make sure to click that link down below and find all of the other yummy soup recipes. I'm sure there's gonna be a ton of good ones. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing down below, and let's get to it. Okay, so today I'm making a bean and bacon soup, and I'm starting with this recipe that I found online, and I'll have that original recipe linked down below. I basically followed this recipe as far as ingredients go, but I did make a few changes to it as far as how I made it. So if you just want to make it the original way that the recipe called for, feel free, I'll have it linked down below. Or you can follow along with the changes I made and make it that way. It's up to you, either way it's going to be delicious, and I'll explain those changes we made as I go. So I believe the recipe called for 8 ounces of cooked bacon. I'm not sure, but is 8 ounces of bacon ever enough? I don't think so. You can never have enough bacon. I went ahead and just made this whole pound of thick sliced bacon, because if we had any left over, we would use it for something else the next day, or more than likely, and this is what happened, there aren't any leftovers because after it's cooked, everybody comes by and snacks on it before I get it into the soup. So, you do you, make as much bacon as you want. I'm just going to get this chopped up into smaller pieces and cooking in my skillet. Once our bacon was all crispy, we're going to remove this from the skillet with a slotted spoon because we want to leave some of that grease in the pan. We're not leaving all that you see here, but we are going to leave a few tablespoons to cook our veggies. So the recipe calls for, I believe, 1 cup each of chopped carrots, celery, and onion. So I have 3 large carrots here and a big handful of celery, and I'm going to use half of a sweet onion. And I'm just going to chop these up roughly because Adam doesn't like chunks of celery or onion in anything, so this is one of the little changes I made to the recipe. I'm just going to chop them up really roughly because I'm going to end up blending them up after they're cooked. But of course, if you want to leave these whole like the recipe calls for, you could chop them a little more finely and make them more pretty, but that's up to you. So once I got everything chopped up, I'm just throwing my carrots into my couple of tablespoons of bacon fat. I'm going to get these cooking first because they take longer to cook than the onions or celery. And once they've softened up a little bit, I'll add in the rest. I also added in about a tablespoon of butter just to get those brown bits off the bottom of the pan. And once my carrots were a little bit tender, I'm adding in my celery and onions and a tablespoon of minced garlic. Now we're just gonna let these cook until they're all tender and delicious and the whole house smells like Thanksgiving. You know that smell. I bet you can smell it just looking at it. So once those are done, we'll get started on the rest of the soup. So here is another little change that we made. The recipe says to, once the soup is almost done, to remove some of the soup and blend it up. But we figured since we already blended up our veggies, we'd go ahead and just blend up some of it now to make it easier. So out of the 3 cans of Great Northern beans, we just blended one up before we started putting the soup together. That way we didn't have to do it at the end. So into our soup pot, we're adding in the blended up northern beans and our can of tomato sauce, and then we're going to get to blending up the veggies. Now I'm not sure if the color of this soup would be this bright and vibrant without blending up those veggies. We were pleasantly surprised that it sort of looked like butternut squash or something, and so it just screamed fall out of the pot, and it had that pretty orange color, and it just made it look like comfort in a bowl. Once we got all those veggies blended up, we just added them into our pot with our blended beans and our tomato sauce, and then we're going to add in our chicken broth and the rest of our beans. After we let this simmer, we added in about half of our bacon, or 3/4, depends on how much you want in there and how much you want for topping. We also added in some salt and pepper to taste, and we let that simmer a few minutes more until we were ready to eat. To go with our soup, we wanted to have some bread on this night. So earlier in the day, I had taken out one of these loaves of Rhodes white bread out of the freezer, and I just put this in my loaf pan that I sprayed with some nonstick spray. And I also sprayed some plastic wrap to put over the top so it wouldn't stick, and let this rise until it was an inch above the rim of the pan. Once the bread had risen, I just put it in the oven according to the package directions. And halfway through the cooking time, I'm going to brush it with some butter with some dried rosemary mixed in. So I just melted some butter in the microwave and threw in some crushed dried rosemary. This soup turned out absolutely delicious. When I was a kid, I loved the bean and bacon soup, like the Campbell's brand in the can. So this brought back childhood memories, but it tasted even better, obviously, because it's homemade. It had so much flavor, and it was so pretty and just looked like fall in a bowl. And I highly recommend you try this one out because it was so good. At the end, we did decide that it might need a little bit of spice, so we added some Tonys to our bowls. But next time we make this, I might just throw in some crushed red pepper while the veggies are cooking. It's your favorite kind of soup, huh? What do you think, Garrett?
It's good. That one smells good.
What do you think, Dad?
It's definitely hot.
As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you haven't already, we would love for you to join our YouTube family. So hit that subscribe button down below and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. And we'll see you guys in the next one.